It was debate night in America once again. It was debate number 7 from Des Moines, Iowa. 6 Democrats qualified for tonight's showdown, which is the last before the Iowa caucuses next month. And this is the group on stage tonight. You can see this photo. It's so wide it just got nominated for Best Picture. The closest this debate between Democrats, who talk a lot about diversity, came to diversity was that it was held at Drake University. And Drake, you know, Drake's half black. But that might be a different... Much of the drama going into tonight was centered on a feud between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, who've been friends for many years. Warren claims that in 2018, before they were running, Sanders told her a woman could not win the presidency. Bernie called that claim ludicrous. He said the conversation did not take place. And in his defense, back in 1919, Bernie Sanders was one of the first senators to support a woman's right to vote. But this is a rare and unexpected rift between the senators. They're usually on the same page. I mean, up until now, Bernie and Elizabeth Warren have spent just about every debate looking like a married couple at a diner complaining that their soup isn't hot enough. Last night in New Orleans, the LSU Tigers beat the Clemson Tigers to win the college football national title. The president and first lady were at the game. You know, seeing Melania out in public, it always reminds me when Morgan Freeman got to drink a beer on the roof of Shawshank. Trump was thrilled with himself. Afterward, he retweeted not one but 2 videos of the crowd cheering for him. It was the biggest cheer ever, bigger than Neil Armstrong got when he came back from the moon. The president loves to get love from a crowd, which I actually have an idea that could solve a lot. I say we move the Oval Office to the Superdome. Trump can sit at a desk right on the 50-yard line and get cheered by people all day. He'd be so happy, and maybe it'll distract him from ruining the whole world, right? Out of the box thinking. By the way, the president wasn't the only notable in attendance. Cleveland Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. was there. Odell went to LSU, and after the game, he rolled his tape. He appeared to be handing out money to the players on the winning team. Big wads of cash. I guess he doesn't have Venmo. I don't know what the deal is, but... So then after the game, and look, watch this. He, not just Jefferson, he goes and another wad of cash. Odell was spotted after the game with the jerseys of the players he gave the money to, and I don't know if he bought them, but this would all presumably be an NCAA violation. You can't give money to college athletes, but an official from LSU claims the cash was fake. It was fake money he was handing out. And everyone seems to have accepted that story. But let's look at that again in slow motion here. Now, I examined this very closely, and that's either real money or Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the most notorious counterfeiters in the world. This is funny, too. Someone pulled a pretty good one on the president. Last month, while he was in the crowd, working the crowd at a rally in Michigan, and a guy got the president to sign a copy of his own impeachment report. And look at that signature. And now he's selling it at auction. He's hoping to get between $50,000 and $100,000 for it. Who's going to buy? The only person who would pay $100,000 for Donald Trump's autograph is Donald Trump. We could have a lot more memorabilia of that type on the way. Tomorrow, the House is expected to hand the articles of impeachment over to the Senate. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says a trial would begin as soon as Tuesday. A major sticking point is whether witnesses would be called. McConnell doesn't want... Can you imagine a trial without witnesses? But he said he doesn't want to send the Senate on a fishing expedition, which, you know, asking the people who actually saw and heard what they saw and heard isn't a fishing expedition. It's a trip to the aquarium, okay? Not only are there many witnesses willing to speak, including Trump's former National Security Advisor, John Bolton, today, the House Intelligence Committee released some damning new evidence. This is from one of Rudy Giuliani's Ukrainian dirt diggers, Lev Parnas. That's Lev. And this is a note he wrote. He wrote, "Get Zelensky to announce that Biden case will be investigated." And not only that, we also learned that Rudy Giuliani sent this letter to then President-elect Zelensky. He wrote, "Congratulations. Anything I can do to help you or your country would be a great honor, blah, blah, blah. However, I have a more specific request in my capacity as personal counsel to President Trump, and with his knowledge and consent, I request a meeting with you on this upcoming Monday, May 13th, or Tuesday, May 14th, which is interesting because, and this may come as a shock to you, 6 months later, the president told Bill O'Reilly exactly the opposite of that.
So you didn't direct him to go there on your behalf? You didn't?
No, but you have to understand, Rudy is a great corruption fighter.
Rudy Giuliani, but he's your personal lawyer. Giuliani's your personal lawyer. So you didn't direct him to go to Ukraine and do anything or put any heat on him?
No, I didn't direct him.
Well, you know, if I didn't know better, I would think that someone here is not telling the truth. Help us, Mitt Romney. You're our only hope. And if some miracle happens and the Senate actually does its job and conducts a fair trial, our next president, for a few months anyway, might be the guy who up until now has been very busy creating the Space Force. In fact, today he swore in the new chief of the Space Force.
The United States Space Force will have an extraordinary launch under General J. Raymond.
Oh, he's funny. It's like Al. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Give back this holiday season. Buy my new book, The Serious Goose. I wrote it and illustrated it. All the money I make goes to children's hospitals across the country. So, you know what to do.